appreciate everybody coming out for the September meeting. I'm going to start with a special presentation this morning. We have Barry from the Huntington Drug and Alcohol Counseling Center. He's just going to do a little presentation. So he's going to start first, and then I'll come up and we'll continue with the rest of the second precinct meeting. So Barry, if you don't mind, you want to come on up?
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Barry Zacks. I'm from the Huntington Drug and Alcohol Counseling Center. And I'm going to keep this quick and simple. I know there's plenty of community business, so maybe 10 minutes or so. And if there's questions, I love it. By the way, on the sign-in table, I put stuff for you, giveaways, swag. There's stress balls, there's brochures, there's fact sheets, and there's pens. Help yourself. And don't think this doesn't pertain to you, because you have friends and family, and you never know who may need our information. So we're located in the Flanagan Center, which is known as the Cinema Arts Center building. And I know plenty of people in Huntington. When I tell them I work for Huntington Drug and Alcohol Counseling Center, they go, "That's great, where is that?" So I don't want to be a secret. It's hard for people to access us if they don't know that we exist. So I want to tell you what we do, what makes us different, and what we can do for you. We are funded in part by the town of Huntington. So we are a resource for Huntington, and we are very much a partner in the community with the second precinct, with schools, with churches, with local businesses. We're tremendously supported by the elected officials in Town Hall, and we're right next to Town Hall. So we're here to be part of the community. We don't want to be a best kept secret. I don't want to be. So I was thinking about it. People come to me all the time and say, you know, tell me about your program or your programs. And the more I stick around, the less I like the word programs, actually. We do services. We're always changing what we do, how we do it, and where we do it based on what people would like and people want. So my view of things is not to tell people about a program. It sounds sort of like a checklist sort of idea. We provide services, and we're here to serve. We're here to serve the town of Huntington, mostly. So what I want to talk about is how we provide services. We have an on-site counseling center in the Flanagan Center. The Cinema Arts building has a rear of the building with a large number of entrances for the seniors and for other adult services. And we have our own entrance with signage and a sliding glass door. And on-site, we provide assessment, individual, family, group counseling. Sometimes people need referrals. We have a lot of information where people can go. We're an outpatient counseling agency. So if people need a medical intervention, they need detoxification or an inpatient rehab or some sort of stabilization in a medical or extreme psychiatric sense, we're a great place afterwards as they stabilize to really work on, you know, recovery and adjustment. But the majority of people who have drug and alcohol problems don't require that. That's sort of a stereotype of people who lie in the gutter and need hospitalization. The majority of people with alcohol or other drug problems look exactly like you and me. And are every age, race, ethnicity, religion, background. This is very democratic. So we are available. We speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I took French in school. I don't know what I was thinking. But we have several counselors that speak Spanish. Our front desk, our reception speaks Spanish. And sometimes that's useful. Not only are there people whose primary language is Spanish, and of course to be clinically at our best, we're going to speak their language. But sometimes people speak English, especially if we get young folks in treatment, because we treat adolescents as well as adults. And sometimes they speak English, but their family speaks Spanish. So instead of them going home to translate to their family, my counselor says, "I'm doing wonderful." We can get the family in and we can deal with the whole family. In fact, we like to deal with the whole family when it comes to drug and alcohol problems. We treat significant others, which is fancy talk for people who don't drink or use drugs. But because there's alcohol or drugs in their family that are causing problems, they become affected. And I'll tell you, the family members who don't drink or drug often have a more pronounced anxiety, depression, insomnia, impaired job performance, distracted driving, worse than the people drinking and drugs. So So that's an untreated population in the drug and alcohol world that people don't think of, but they call this addiction a family illness, and we're really good at helping the families keep their sanity. You know, sometimes the families need to, like the clients, work on actively doing new things in their life so that they don't feel stuck. But sometimes they need to, like the clients, stop doing destructive things in their life. And family members escape from the frustration by a variety of addictions, or go to health professionals and say, I'm very anxious, I can't sleep, and the health professional won't even say what's happening at home. They'll prescribe. So we're very good at treating significant other specialty workshops. Depending on our client base and age and problems, we are always changing our counseling offerings. We track for people with DWI offenses, because they have some special bureaucratic needs that we can help fulfill. We've had men's groups, women's groups, adolescent groups, Spanish and English, and depending on what people need, we're very flexible. There's no waiting list. I'm here 11 years now, somehow. I'm in the field since 1997. I worked in a psychiatric hospital system as a frightened intern, then started working in detox and became a supervisor, worked in rehab, outpatient, became a director, started programs with the adolescent mental health as well as addictions, and I'm here now 11 years in this real community-based agency, and it's a great place. I want people to know that we exist. As long as I am here, there will be no waiting list. I said this 11 years ago, and we have never had to have a waiting list. We're going to move staff, we're going to move people. If people show up, we want them to have appointments, but if they show up unannounced, I'll see them. Nobody's going to just get turned away or told, call us back in 6 weeks, or any, that does not happen. It will not happen. Confidentiality is not only state and federally required, but it's important, because among our clients are people who work for the town and work in the town, and we want people to be ensured that confidentiality is really important to us. You know, we take the shame and stigma away. I'm used to talking about addiction like it's a bottle of water, but people come in deeply ashamed and guilty, and so we want people to feel comfortable and safe. We'll take most insurance, including Medicaid products. Sometimes people are uninsured, underinsured. We work on a sliding scale. And because we're funded in part by the town, but also by the state and county, no one gets turned away. And I mean no one gets turned away. We go by what people can afford to pay if they don't have insurance. And we're more than accommodating. We're open Monday through Friday. At some point I'd like to get open maybe half a day Saturdays, get more families in. But we're open Monday morning through Friday evening, morning till evening. And most people who are adults work in the daytime, there's exceptions, so our groups are mostly in the evening. And now that school started, if we're treating youth, they're in school, so we're open till about 9 o'clock at night. We also have a license to provide prevention, not programs, prevention services. And we have a staff that works in 8 different school districts, all in the township of Huntington. Comac to Northport, down to Melville, and up to, through Huntington. And what we do is work with youth, and there's no cost, because we're funded to do this in schools and in the community, on strengthening protective factors and reducing risk factors. The truth is, we want to hit youth with their most at risk. So we're working pretty heavily in middle schools. We're in elementary schools, we're in high schools. We just finished summer, we're in a bunch of summer camps and youth drop-in centers. But now we're in the school year, we're gonna hit mostly middle schools where we provide curriculum, 8 to 10 weeks in health classes. We work with the schools. And the idea is that there are risk factors, like in an individual, some people are risk-seeking personalities, right? But also in a family, there might be some poor boundaries or alcohol or drug use that is witnessed, is normalized. In the community, there may be at-risk factors or protective factors. And certainly in schools and peers, that exists too. In fact, even in counseling, when we're dealing with people who have developed an alcohol or drug problem, we want to maximize protective factors, get them involved with social support groups, 12-step groups, community groups, group counseling. you know, because that's a protective factor. And minimize the risk factors, isolation, alienation, you know, stigma, all that sort of stuff. So this is the same thing, only on a population level. One thing that's clear from credible studies over many years is that the earlier people start using alcohol or other mood or mind altering drugs, the more likely they are to develop a problem. That doesn't mean that everybody who uses drugs at an early age develops a problem. But in a population view of things, statistically, the more early people start experimenting, and kids experiment, statistically it's been proved over and over again that the more likely they are to develop a problem. That's why we want to work in middle school. Youth started using, on average, alcohol and pot in my day, like in 11th grade, 12th grade. Now we're looking at 11 years old, 12 years old. They're vaping and smoking pot and drinking. So middle school is the time. What we want to do is delay the onset of their experimental use. So that's the science-based part of it. Too Good for Drugs is a program that we're in schools with from kindergarten to high school, 8 to 10 weeks of curriculum. It's not just don't use drugs, they're bad for you, or a picture of a car crash. It's evidence-based. We go over the power of expressing feelings, the power of social support. We show them how marketing influences people. I went to observe my staff when I was new in a 6th grade school, and they asked the room, who knows what Red Bull does? And everybody raised their hand, and every 6th grader knew that Red Bull gives you wings, you know. So we want them to understand the marketing aspect of what's happening out there. 2, teen intervene if kids get, well, maybe caught vaping in school, or maybe identified at being, not having a drug problem, but being at risk. We can see them individually, our prevention staff, for 1 to 3 sessions, you know, not only dispensing some education, but helping to enhance some of the protective factors in their life. Sometimes people end up getting referred to treatment from that, but more often our brief interventions are useful. We work with the, well, we're part of the Town of Huntington Opioid Task Force. We work with the Northport, East Northport, which just changed its name to AWARE, Drug and Alcohol Task Force. And we're with a variety of community coalitions and meetings, and we're community partners. We want to be here. We want the community to know we're there, and we don't have all the answers. Drug and alcohol intervention needs the legal system and the treatment system and the prevention system. We need to work with everybody. Something else we do as part of our services for the community is speaking. We have a speakers bureau, so to speak. We do presentations. In the last year, we have trained Narcan, which is an opioid reversal spray, harmless otherwise. We've trained hundreds of people. We trained a couple of hundred of school employees, teachers and school administration on Narcan. We did a couple of sessions with youth returning to college. And we've done a lot of Narcan, and we're available. All people need to do is ask, can we come to your group or you? And we'd be happy to do that. The last year or so, some of the topics that we've covered for adults, for PTA meetings, for school personnel, for school children, we design everything age appropriate. We do 5th grade, 8th grade, the teaching staff. We've gone over THC. I'm tempted to say marijuana, except marijuana is a plant with leaves. What people are using now is concentrated THC. I want to start calling it that, because it's not the pot you think it is, or that I may have experienced in 1970-something. We go an overview over what is addiction. There's a lot of myths and realities about it. We can review the opioid epidemic. We've done presentations on alcohol, which, by the way, remains the #1 problematic drug of choice of people. The headlines are grabbed by the opioid epidemic, and it's valid, but alcohol is still the #1 drug problem that we have. It's the #1 drug problem of people who come to us for treatment. So what we're seeing in treatment is mirroring what's happening in the world. So we present on that. We have done vaping presentations for every age, you know, from young children up through, older folks at a variety of locations. We go out in the community, we can do this stuff. Underage gambling we presented on recently at the Women's Advisory Committee, and these are just some of the topics that we can talk about. So these are the services that we do. So what? There's other treatment agencies. If you want to Google them, there are quite a few. There's even others in Huntington. What we do in a sort of unique way that I'm proud of. The reason we're able to do what we do and have really good client satisfaction, which we measure, and retention, and feel good about helping people, is we provide a safe and comfortable physical space. There's no moldy ceiling tiles or dark, dingy. Sometimes if people have never been in counseling before, they come to us thinking it's going to be like the probation office or the DMV, you know, and it's brightly lit and it's warm and welcoming and you're all invited to come visit anytime and take a look for yourself. And I think that's important to make people feel welcome. We are a team. Our treatment staff, our prevention staff, administration staff, we all work together. It's not a democracy, I'm the boss. However, my door is always open. People have come to me and said, why don't you do it this way? And my answer, which shocks them, is, oh, let's try that. I didn't think of that. So it's very inclusive, and this trickles down to clients. I refuse to burn out staff, so that shows. And the Youth Bureau, we're part of the Huntington Youth Bureau, which is our administration, is also on board with good leadership, community values, and recognizing good service. So that's how we do it. Very few slides left. I just want to explain something that makes us different than other places, I think, that provide drug and alcohol services. It's our philosophical underpinning, if you will. There are no shortcuts, and that's a shame because people think if someone goes to a rehab for 28 days, you know, after 20 years of drinking and smoking crack, that, you know, now they're ready for the world, and of course they're not. There are no shortcuts. We work with people slowly to clear up out of the fog that's developed for years and relearn their coping skills and determine for themselves what looking at their best life might look like and helping them get there. And the world likes shortcuts. There's no pills that give people patience. So we work with people on patience because as soon as people start to feel better after drinking and using drugs for years, then they want to take the world on and they're cured. And of course, that's not a good idea. I have an uncle, my wife's uncle, who after years of alcohol and cocaine use has found his way back into recovery. He calls me on the phone. He says, it's happening so little by slowly. I said, fantastic. That's the shortcut. That's the shortcut. Going slowly will help people end up where they want to be quicker than all the work they do to cut corners. I read about a guy in Far Rockaway who went out in the rip currents, went out swimming right after the hurricane we had and got pulled out to sea and died. And it seems so stupid, you know? And what addiction does to people and in the family is it makes things seem stupid when they're not stupid. There's a difference between stupidity and arrogance. I don't know, maybe this guy was stupid, I don't know. My suspicion is that he could have been a lot smarter than me. But I think what happens to people with drug and alcohol use and in their families is people think, well, I'm exempt. I'm going to get away with this. That's not stupid. Doctors do that. Counselors do that. Very smart people can be arrogant. I think drug and alcohol use, if it's regular, magnifies this aspect. So what we try to do is help people get humble. Not smart, because they're already smart, but humble. And I think sometimes when people start to feel better and get their life back, again, that's when this ego kind of can creep back in here. You know, oh, I've learned my lesson. This is not a problem about intelligence. This is a problem of humility. So that's one of our things we help people work with slowly. Honesty. People call me on the phone all the time, wives, husbands, parents of people who are clients. I want you to know, they lie a lot. I say, oh, thanks for the information, thank you. You know. People are so used to living in a fantasy, it's very hard for people to get honest. And what we try to do slowly is work with people to develop this honesty. Because when you don't have to remember who you told what and who you're getting over on, who you have to avoid, who you owe money to, it's much easier to deal with problems and issues when they come up. But people have gotten so used to living a fantasy. Sometimes the family members get used to living in a fantasy. They're no longer the spouse, they're the private eye and the cop and the investigator and the caller to their job to make excuses. There's a lot of roles that are not where they belong. It's hard to get people humble and honest. So that's what we do. This is very intellectual, but life becomes, if you don't feel a sense of meaning, people really want pleasure. I like pleasure. I like a good steak and, you know, shopping. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people get so involved in their seeking of pleasure from drugs or alcohol or gambling, bless you, or other things, that becomes their focus of life, and they end up with us feeling very empty on the inside because they've been chasing pleasure. We want people to chase some self-discipline. I used to work, you know, in a detox, and I would observe, and I'd get patients whose drinking and drugging has led them to live totally chaotic lives. So I would tell them, because I would look in their room, make your bed every morning. Just let's not worry about the making amends to your wife and fixing 12 years of drinking on your finances. Let's start by making your bed in the morning. And they would do that. And every once in a while, I would get a patient who was a perfectionist, and I would assign them to not make their bed in the morning, and they'd struggle with it. So everybody's on one extreme and the other. We want people in the middle. Pleasure and self-discipline, not one or the other. Last thing, and this is my comment on the field. We work with a lot of helping professionals, and many are wonderful and certainly well-meaning. But I refuse, and my staff will not, help people rise to low expectations. When we sit with our clients slowly, progressively, and work on honesty and humility, we want them to envision what they think living their best life might look like, and then come up with slow, attainable goals to get there. Some of the field of helping professionals have given up and want to medicate symptoms and put Band-Aids. And if you have a broken aorta, the Band-Aid's not going to work. So we really want people to develop their best lives, and that trickles down to clients. If we believe in them before they believe in themselves, they can absorb that from us. So philosophically, we are a little different than a lot of places out there. And that's it. I don't want to take up much time, but we're here to serve the community, to instill hope. The headlines are very depressing. People are dying, DWIing, crashing, ruining their lives and their families, for sure. But there's a large recovery community out there that we can help expose people to and help them become hopeful. Envision their best lives and then start working toward it. So anyway, I hope I've said something that can attract you to take our brochures and if you know someone who might need it, you know, give it to them. Last thing, this is an example of how we do things. My staff said to me years ago, why do we have to keep answering the phones when reception is busy? Can't we have one of those menus, hit 2, hit 1? No way, no way. We're here. I didn't get into the job to push papers around, although anyone would see my desk, it's got piles of them and budgets and all that stuff. I thought I'd avoid math, but I didn't. We're here to work with people. So we answer our phones. We will tailor what we can do for you. If there's something we can't do for you, we'll find out where it can be done. So I want people to avail themselves of our services, and please take our swag, and I hope I didn't take up too much time. Thank you, Inspector.
Inspector, microphone.
I think I speak for all of us when we can recognize the important work that Barry does for people. I'm sure that everybody in some way or another is affected by alcohol addiction or drug addiction. So thanks again for today. There's some elected official representatives here. I want to acknowledge them. Okay, we have somebody from Rebecca Sannon's office, also from Stephanie Bontempi's office and Steve Stern's office is here. We have 2 reps from Public Safety, Chris Lau and Joe Rose in the back, so I appreciate you guys coming. I got Kenny, my ambassador, in the back there. He's always here. Thank you, Kenny. Real quick, the precinct operates with a command staff, and that's with, I am the inspector, we have a deputy inspector, and we have a captain. So our command staff has been ever changing over the past several months. We have a new deputy inspector assigned to the 2nd precinct, Inspector Steve Rohde. He's going to get up and speak a little bit about his experience with the police department. He's been around a long time, and he assures me he's very happy to work here in the 2nd. So I'm going to let him talk a little, and then I'll bring the other officers up to introduce themselves to you so you can get to know them too. But Steve, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much, Inspector. Steve Rohde, Deputy Inspector. We have to have the
Yeah,
mic.
Inspector, stand near him.
Should
I
put it
just stand
on?
near you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
So, yes, this is my 30th year in law enforcement, and I find myself returning home. Some of you here may know me. I've had the privilege of working in the civilian academy, from the police academy. I spent 15 years here in Huntington on patrol. I was here from 1996 to about 2011, and I've worked every single sector car in this precinct. I've worked every tour, and after I was promoted to sergeant, I went down to the 1st precinct, and I worked down there for a few years, and I then found myself kind of pulled into the training world. And I've been in the police academy for several years, and I have been responsible for all of the training of the officers that come to your precinct, whether it was recruit training or in-service training for the officers that are already on patrol, their firearms training, their physical training, defensive tactics. I was the person who was responsible for administering that for the department. And again, as a patrol officer, I had to kind of step into an entirely different role, and it was very challenging. And during that time there, a lot of things changed in policing, a lot of things changed in this state, in this country, and I feel that it's kind of divine that I was there at the time, because I had a really good patrol base, and I was able to kind of use that to help the department through some of the things that we worked on, whether it was the Department of Justice decree, and then several years later, police reform. And I was the person who had been in the police academy for some time, so headquarters relied on me for all the training, and we had been a little bit ahead of the curve, I will say, taking that patrol experience and the staff that I brought with me to the police academy. I built the staff that were police officers, that were out in the street, that were with the community, and how do we take some of our material and kind of refresh it. So when police reform came, we felt that we were already on the right path. So I was blessed to have those opportunities. Some of the officers that are here today, they were in the police academy class when I was there, and they're on field training now. Some of the officers in the 2nd precinct I worked with, they're still operating sector cars now, and I trained them. I was their field training officer when I was here back in those years, and whether it's detective sergeants or detectives, when I looked at the roster of the precinct, I was really nostalgic, because I have interacted or trained most of the people that have come through and that are still working in the 2nd precinct. So this opportunity to work in the 2nd precinct is extremely special to me and near and dear to my heart. Huntington is in my DNA, and it's hard to explain that, but this is your community. So growing up here from 22 years old when I started until I left at around 36, this was home. So coming back here is really special to me, and to work with the incredible human being and police executive, Inspector Williams, it is an honor, because he's a very respected and legendary person for us in the department. So to be here and kind of learn from him and bring myself up to speed about, they're having wonderful changes here, but truth be told, I haven't been away that long. I come to the town of Huntington with my wife and my 4 beautiful daughters. Often I'm up at the fall festival and we're shopping in the area. We'll come to the restaurant. So it's not like I really haven't been here. Kind of can't get away from Huntington, if that makes sense to you. But on a closing note, I don't want to drone on. In the police academy, we have a very difficult job to get these young men and women ready to patrol your streets. And we always took, staff and I took that responsibility very seriously. And as the last slide talked about expectations, the expectations in the police academy have never been higher because we can't get it wrong, right? We're building a foundation for a 20, 30-year career. So all the training that we would do and all those different disciplines that I mentioned, the most important thing, well, there are two most important things, and one of the things that I took under my wing was the professional communications and de-escalation block. And these officers, getting them ready to come out and assist the community, we're a different society, right? Everybody's on their phone, so that task was a little more challenging than ever. But all the things we do and all the boxes we check and all the great training, the common denominator was how to speak to people, how to see people, how to be empathetic, how to understand them, not just take your pad out and write down a name and date of birth and go fill out a report, but was to really be in their world. Because at the end of the day, we're all living variations of the same life, and we have our spouses and our families and our kids. So it was how to speak to people, how to be empathetic. And I graduated over 1,800 people in the 27 classes that I oversaw or was a part of at lower ranks. But the most important thing to me was when they came to your houses, or when they came to your place of business, when they rang the bell and they knocked on the door, what you saw was a professional police officer who maybe had a smile and listened to you and really truly cared. Or if we couldn't help you in that exact moment, what are the resources that we have? How do we steer you in the right direction? So that's truly from my heart. That was my charge for many years there. And again, the fact that I get to come back home and kind of see the work that the academy staff has done over the years and then watch it in real life is just really special to me. So again, thank you for welcoming me. I spoke with several of you before. And again, thank you to Inspector Williams for the opportunity. Thank you.
That was great. I didn't pay him to say that. What he just said, the last part of that, with the characteristics he describes as some of the officers, I really believe that what he said, that we should be like regular people, the way we talk to people and courteous and whatnot. So I know all these officers in the back that he trained definitely worked with that aspect. So I want to bring them up and they can introduce themselves to the community. So come on up, guys. Just say it.
Wow. Wow.
Good start.
Is anybody out patrolling? I mean.
So, I'm Officer Ali Alfan. I've worked at the 7th, the 6th, now the 2nd. Next month will be 10 years, and I'm in community support unit.
Good morning, I'm Officer Nikolai Costanza. I'm one of the newer graduates. I graduated in July, and I'm super excited to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Officer Matthew Antonelli. Just like Nikolai, I graduated in the last academy, new to the 2nd precinct, and excited to be here.
I'm Officer Anthony Esposito. I'm also part of the community support unit. Prior to this, I worked in Dix Hill, so if anyone has any questions, reference that area, just see me after.
Good morning, I'm Officer Scott Fallon. Came out of the class, just excited to be here.
Morning, I'm Officer Rob Jinks, one of the 2nd Precinct SROs.
Morning, Sergeant Mike Casey, 2nd Precinct Community Support Unit. Prior to this, working in the 1st Precinct. Any traffic complaints or neighborhood complaints, just see me in the back after the meeting, please.
I'm Officer Jamie Westenhoff. I'm 2nd Precinct Code. Good morning, Brittany Saramataro, one of the 2nd Precinct School Resource Officers.
Hi, I'm Officer Kateria Poole. I'm your 2nd Precinct CLO Officer, Community Liaison Officer.
Officer Alyssa Dowdy, 2nd Precinct Code.
Awesome.
I'm honored to work with all of these officers. I mean, you could see just from the way they present themselves, how professional they are, and a reflection of Steve's training. So that's a very difficult job he had, and he did a terrific job over there in the academy. So we can get started with the program. Okay, these are our index crimes. This is year to date. So we haven't had a murder, which is good. We had 11 robberies in last year, 5 this year, so we're down percentage-wise there, which is good. Assaults, we are up a little bit in assaults. We had 48 at this time last year. We have 54, so we're up 12% there. Residential burglaries are down, which makes me happy. In 24, we had 17. This year, only 6. Commercial burglaries are up. We had 13 last year and 23 this year, so we're up a bit there, 76%. Larcenies, we are down. Last year, 875 at this time, 795 this year. And then vehicle thefts, we're dead even at 25 for the year. This is our monthly index crime numbers. So again, we could go right past murder. We didn't have any. 1 robbery in July. We didn't have any robberies in August. 11 assaults in July. We had 15, so we definitely had an uptick in assaults. Some of those are related to domestic incidents, and others are just common street encounters. So residential burglaries, we're even at 1, July and August. Commercial burglaries in July, we had 3. We just had 1 in August. Larcenies, 133 in July, and we went down to 100, so down 24%. And vehicle thefts, we had 3 as opposed to 2 this month. All in all, not too bad. Overall, for the precinct, collectively, our numbers are down, so that's good. On July 23rd, our narcotics officers and our second precinct detectives executed a search warrant on Fifth Avenue and Huntington Station. One subject was arrested and charged with drug possession, crack. We did some compliance checks. This was on August 12th. So these compliance checks, we go into these vape shops. We're looking for them. They're selling marijuana. They're selling vapes to underage, something Barry would be concerned about. We do this on a regular basis. I think we did 2 in July, and this is the one we did in August. So we hit all these shops, a total of 14 shops were checked. 12 were actually found in compliance and did not sell alcoholic beverages or tobacco products to underage, to the underage police agent. We send an underage police agent in. And 2 shops were found to be non-compliant. So the shops in compliant are listed. I'm not going to read them all. It seems like since we've been doing this, more and more of these shops have been coming into compliance. So they're starting to get the message. Of course, there's always a few that don't. And the 2 that weren't was One Stop Shop, Broadway and Green Lawn. An employee sold alcoholic beverages to a minor, and he was charged with unlawfully dealing with a child first. That's a Class A misdemeanor. And then Tobacco Corner, 117 Wall Woodman Road, Huntington Station. Same thing, an employee sold tobacco to a minor, and he was charged with unlawfully dealing with a child, 2nd degree. That's a Class B misdemeanor. This was an assault that occurred on Monday, August 4th, at 7:15 in the evening, Manor Park. That's East 5th Street, Huntington Station. The complainant was involved in a physical altercation with another male in the park. After the fight, he realized that he had a small laceration to the right side of his torso. He was transported to Huntington Hospital. He received 2 staples, and to close the wound, detectives responded to interview the victim, but he refused to cooperate with us any further. So they'll continue to try and get him to talk, but sometimes we get people that are uncooperative with these situations. Another assault, this was Monday, August 18th. The location is an unknown parking lot, so if you read this, our officers responded to Huntington Hospital for the call of a male stabbed with a wound to his left arm. When the detectives arrived to interview the victim, he stated that he fell on something sharp and wasn't stabbed. The victim's statement of the events appeared to be inconsistent with his injuries. So the doctor's saying that he was actually cut by something. he's given us a different story. Again, non-cooperative with us, detectives in the investigation, but they'll continue to try and see if we can get him to cooperate. Okay, this was the one at the fair, at the Huntington Firemen's Fair. This is a big news story. You probably saw it on News 12 or in Newsday. And so this occurred on the outskirts of the fair, okay? So the fair is all lit up. There's the area where all the rides and the people and the food is. And then in the back where it was a little darker, this occurred like in a baseball field towards the outskirts. So anyway, this was on July 15th at about 8:15. This was an altercation involving several young males, and a 17-year-old male and a 14-year-old male reported being stabbed during the altercation. So we had 2 victims here. It was a pretty good news story. One victim was transported to Southside, the other to Huntington. Second squad detectives were actively investigating. So the update here, and the reason I put this on here, is because we did make an arrest on 7/31. A 15-year-old juvenile male was arrested for being involved in the above assault, and then on August 6th, it was a second person who committed the assault. A 19-year-old was arrested and charged. So after quite a lengthy investigation, the detectives did a good job and closed this one out.
Was that gang related at all?
Yes, we believe it was gang related. Actually, one of the victims may have been a gang member. So there was something going on in the altercation between them. What it was, I don't know. Like, it's very hard to get information from these, either whether they're victims or the perpetrators. So.
And which 2 gangs were they? Do you know?
It's MS-13.
With both MS-13 like recruiting thing, or 2 different gangs going?
I don't know that information because again, they're
Sure.
very tight-lipped about what was going on. It could have been something like that, but I can't really say that it was.
Got it, thanks.
Here's an assault. This one occurred 270 West Jericho on Saturday, the 23rd, about 10 p.m. The complainant reports he became involved in a verbal dispute with another male who was with a group of people, and when the 2 of them got into like a push and shoving match, someone in the group threw a bottle, striking the complainant in his head. He received a laceration, and he was transported to the hospital where he was treated, probably received a bunch of stitches. Apparently it was pretty nice deep laceration. So another assault. These are the assaults. Like I said, you know, you saw the rise in assault. These kind of things, they just pop up, really. This is a robbery second. This, we're still really investigating this one. So this was Sunday, the 27th of July, 9:30 p.m. It occurred in the Huntington Railroad Station parking lot. The complainant reported he was robbed by 2 suspects, one that put him in a headlock while the other went through his pockets and removed his cash. One of the suspects was seen by the victim fleeing in a white pickup truck, possibly a Ram. So I spoke with the detectives about this one, and after interviewing this guy several times, his story's kind of falling apart. So I'm not really sure this was a robbery. Again, they're still looking into this one. But if I had to go by my heart, I would say this is not what occurred. He's making up a story. A burglary first on July 1st at 10 a.m. Melville Road. This complainant reported her ex-boyfriend broke into her apartment. He was armed with a knife. He stole a television, a package, and $200 cash. She was able to flee and get away from him, call the police. Second squad detectives were able to arrest him later that day and charged him with burglary first degree. Burglary third, on Sunday, August 3rd, about 2:54 in the morning. This was at Pleasure Palace, 700 Jericho in South Huntington. Described as an unknown male suspect wearing a mask, broke the front glass door with a rock and entered the business, and he removed some adult items. Commercial burglary up on Jericho. This was another burglary. This is a residential burglary, Tuesday, August 4th at 10:18 p.m. West 9th Street in Huntington Station. an unknown suspect entered the residence through a rear window, and it's reported he stole a safe containing about $20,000 in cash. So I don't know why you'd keep that much cash at home, and again, lock all your windows and doors. It seems like there wasn't forced entry here. They found an open window. Maybe he knew the cash was there. Burglary second, this was one where we had an update on for an arrest, so I reported in April on this one. Coalport Drive in Huntington. So the complainant left his residence for about an hour. He returned, he noticed his front door was slightly ajar. He thought maybe he left the door open, and then he received a notification from one of his neighbors from their Ring camera, and there was a male in the area who was rummaging through cars in the neighborhood. So he started checking his house a little better, and he discovered that he was burglarized. And then on July 30th, after a thorough investigation by our detectives, we were able to arrest the suspect and charge him with burglary second degree. So this is another good lesson. If you have these Ring cameras and you see stuff like that and you can share it with your neighbors, get the information out. You know, obviously we want it, but if you get it out to them, they might discover that they've been a victim of some kind of crime, maybe a burglary or a larceny. But you know, the Ring cameras are good for stuff like that, and we get a lot of leads from them. So if you have them, make sure you set them, and especially if you're going to be out of your house. But this was a nice job by the detectives. They tracked this guy down through really a lot of hard, you know, pounding the pavement detective work. So it was a good job. Here's a weapons arrest. This is August 15th, 6:30 p.m. Downey Drive in Huntington. During a domestic incident, patrol officers discovered that one of the residents was in possession of 2 illegal 9mm handguns. He was charged with criminal possession of a firearm and criminal possession of a weapon, second and third. So sometimes when we respond to these domestics, I mean, you see the stories all the time, cops getting killed at these domestic incidents. You know, they can inflame, and you know, people have weapons at home. So this guy apparently had some illegal weapons, and we got lucky on this one because someone told us, and they were able to get these guns away from this guy. So it's just one of the dangers that these officers respond to on a daily basis. So massage parlors, we do these on a monthly basis also. Here's 2 that we hit on July 30th, along with the town of Huntington, thank you guys, and our crime section officers, the fire marshal. They conducted an investigation into the wonderful body and foot massage located at 2006 Jericho Turnpike. That's in Elwood. And 2 females were arrested. They were charged with prostitution, which is a misdemeanor, and what is it, unauthorized practice of a profession, which is a felony. And again, on the 30th, we hit a different spa. This one was the Vernal Spa, located at 502B Lockfield Road, East Northport. Again, 2 female employees, both charged with unlawful practice of a profession and prostitution. We get a lot of complaints on the massage parlors, so we try to hit them as frequently as we can, and we appreciate the town's help on those. Another one, so 3, August 25th. Again, everybody that was involved, we hit the Zealand Foot Spa, located at 54 Broadway Green Lawn, probably right around here. And again, the 2 female employees were arrested, same charges, unlawful practice of a profession, which is a felony, and prostitution. And then the fire marshal issued 9 violations to the business. So nice cooperation with the town. Thank you again. This is the site team activity. I talk about it every month. These are the highway patrol officers. They come in into the precinct on a monthly basis to assist us with our trouble traffic locations where we have a lot of vehicle and traffic law violations. And you know, I correspond with the sergeant, and I give him the locations that, you know, a lot of you people give to me, and they hit these on a monthly basis. So they did this, this was July, I believe. They came the 1st, 9th, 14th, 22nd, 28th. They wrote 164 summonses, 135 moving violations, and 29 non-moving violations. And you can see all the locations that they hit. And every month, those locations change. Some of them stay the same, but they change. We'll get you on there next month, all right? Okay, we'll get it, yeah. But we really appreciate them coming in. They're really a big help to us. I mean, our officers, Mike and his guys, the CSU guys do a terrific job. We've written a ton of summonses this year. Our numbers are actually up for the year in summonses, so, you know, we're doing everything we can to try and prevent people from, you know, reckless driving or driving out of their minds. Yes?
You should put it's racing all day long.
I believe the month prior that was listed. So we do, you know, again, everything rotates. We try and hit the problem locations on a regular basis, but we have so many that, you know, like, so next month you'll probably see. I'm pretty sure it was on the one prior to this.
We almost got killed twice just pulling out of our driveway.
I remember, yeah, I remember you telling me that. I'll make sure when I see the sergeant, I tell what is a priority, okay?
Yep.
No problem. So fatal accidents, I always like to report we had none, but unfortunately we had a couple, and summer is always a tough time. Usually it's motorcycle or something like that, but these weren't. You could see that on July 17th, this was at Broad Hollow and Duryea Road in Melville. This 2022 Audi traveling northbound struck the rear passenger side of a box truck that was stopped at the light. A 34-year-old driver of the Audi was pronounced at the scene, so he crashed into this thing. I guess he didn't realize that the truck was stopped in front of him, and because he hit like the corner, it killed him instantly. So, you know, I don't know if he was distracted. I'm not sure what happened, but unfortunately, he was killed there. And then on July 29th, Express Drive South and Half Hollow Road, Dix Hills. This is pretty tragic, this one, because the one vehicle was going southbound, I believe, and, or no, I'm sorry, vehicle one was struck by vehicle two that apparently went through a red light. Operator one transported to the hospital. So this was like a T-bone, and I think the person who died was westbound on Service Road, and someone went through that light at Half Hollow. And if you've seen those intersections, you really can't see what's coming. So somewhere along the line, somebody didn't see the light, and this woman, she suffered serious injuries at that scene, and then several days later was pronounced at the hospital. So that was very tragic. And then the last one was Lockfield Road on the 14th. This one, the vehicle left the roadway and struck a tree. It was an elderly gentleman. We believe maybe this was a medical episode. So, you know, not really a traffic thing, but, you know, sometimes people drive and they have these medical episodes, and probably maybe had a heart attack at the wheel and they crash into the tree. So really not as bad as the second one and the first one. And that leads me into this slide. Today, I think, is the first day of school for a lot of kids, and maybe not the Catholic schools, I don't know. But anyway, the message is very clear, and I put exclamation points for you. You know, be mindful of the school zones. Our guys who will be out, guys and ladies, will be out patrolling the school zones. So if you go through a school zone at like 45 and it's supposed to be 15 or 20, you could pretty much guarantee you might get a ticket, all right? I get a lot of calls from the school superintendents. They ask me, you know, can you get a cop out there? And we try to spread it around. We got a lot of schools in the precinct, and we do the best we can with everything we have. But I spoke with Mike last week, and he assured me that our guys will be out there doing radar in the school zone. So, you know, just be mindful. You know, the kids are out there, they're walking, and it's just the beginning of school. So, can you hold the question to the end, or?
Are red light cameras still in effect in Suffolk County?
No, we got rid of the red light cameras. That was like a legislative thing, so we don't have those anymore. Are you going into the speed cameras too? Because I don't know, maybe one day they'll have them at the school zones. I wouldn't be against that because a lot of people just ignore the school zones, you know? So I know it's slow, but, you know, you gotta be careful. You got these kids out there.
Can you talk about passing school buses and the penalties?
School buses?
Drive passing.
Yeah, a lot of the school buses, I don't know if all of them, but I know a lot of them are equipped with cameras now. So this is relevant to right now too, because everybody's trying to get to work. And in the summer, you could get there, like I noticed this morning, it took me a little longer to get to work. So leave earlier, because if you get behind a school bus, I know it's frustrating sometimes, But if you pass that school bus, when that stop sign is out, there's a camera attached, and you're pretty much gonna get a pretty hefty fine. You're gonna get it in the mail, and you know, you're gonna have to pay it. So just be mindful that the school buses will get you. And you gotta be careful on some of these wider roads, you know. A lot of times people don't know when they're supposed to stop, but sometimes if it's a 4-lane road, you're supposed to stop. So, you know, just be mindful of that too. These are the arrests for the precinct in August: 21 felonies, 102 misdemeanors, assault-related arrests, there were 7, gang-related, so 7 gang members were arrested, 2 lost kids, whatever that is, criminal contempt and possession of drugs, criminal possession of a controlled substance, that's what CPCS is. And then 2 blood associates, one charged with larceny and the other was also drugs. One just the blood, regular blood for a warrant. Latin King, reckless driving, 1 Crip, grand larceny. And then there were 12 other arrests by our anti-crime unit. So our anti-crime unit specializes in, you know, they're the plainclothes officers and they also monitor the gang. So they're a big part of these arrests. And then we had 11 drug-related arrests, 14 DWI arrests, for a total of around 129 arrests for August. Domestic incidents and overdoses. I know Barry left, but I could say that over the years that I've been here, overdoses have dramatically dropped down, which is very good. I don't know if it's because of his great work, but it's a good thing. In August, we had 197. We responded to 197 domestic incidents. 65 were criminal, and 25 resulted in arrests right now. That doesn't mean more won't be, there won't be arrests on other ones. And then overdoses, we had 3 non-fatal overdoses, and in Huntington Station, Dix Hills, and South Huntington, no fatal overdoses. Shot spotter. This, I've explained shot spotter. It's like acoustical receptors that are spread out through the town of Huntington, and it monitors if there's gunfire, and then we get notifications on our computer screens, and the officers will respond and look for either spent cartridges or a victim. So we had a couple of activations, and these there was 2 Thursday the 14th at 25 Depot Road in Huntington at 7 a.m. There was some construction going on at the site, so something could have hit the ground pretty hard and it mimics a gunshot, so we get an alert sometimes. And then also on the 28th at 6:05 a.m., 130 Depot Road, Huntington Station, the officers responded and they found nothing. So negative results means there was no victim, there was no shell casings, so both false alarms, which is good. And we got some events coming up, so I hope I got them all, Alyssa. If I missed one, maybe you can come up and tell them. But so Unity Day, Saturday, September 13th, right? This is at Stimson, right? Stimson Middle School. So it's a nice, it's like a fair, and everybody gets together. It's a very nice day. So if you want to come down, come down. I think there's a little parade too, do a parade, and then the festival starts at between 10 and 3 p.m. So come on down. A lot of us will be there and have a nice time. Unity Day. Touch a Truck, Saturday, September 13th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Elwood Public Library, right? Okay. Come on down. You get to see all these cool trucks. Bring your kids, grandkids, whatever. Be a nice day. You guys will be there, I guess? Okay, great. And what do we got? Oh, the car seats, yes. So sometimes car seats become outdated. They actually have an expiration on them, and Alyssa's an expert and Jamie's an expert. So they will check out your car seat and they will show you how to install it the right way. Down at the Wool Women's Shops, Saturday, September 27th, from 9 to 12. So come on down. If you have an old one, you know, I don't know, do we give them out? We don't have them, right? Yeah, we do. Oh, sometimes maybe we can supply if yours is outdated. Very important to have a good car seat. And what else we got? Pizza with a cop, everybody's favorite, pizza with a cop. Kyle's going to this one. You got to pay a little bit of money, but I've been down there when the kids go down, they're all having a ball doing crafts and making their own pizza, and they cook their own little pizza and they get to eat it. It's really great for the kids, so if you can make this one, October 9th at the California Pizza Kitchen, again at the mall. So the mall's great to us. They allow us to do a lot of things there. So we have a nice partnership with the Walt Whitman Mall. They're really good. And let's see, lock everything. The same thing I talk about every month. You know, secure all your belongings. Don't leave stuff in your car overnight if you can help it. Pocketbooks, computers, whatever it is. We got 1 million car thefts or thefts out of vehicles. I know you think your neighborhood's safe. They're probably safe, but you need to lock everything because people wander through these places at night and steal stuff. And please if you have video devices, set them to record. We get a lot of helpful tips from that. Gift cards are a scam. It never ceases to amaze me. I read every month more and more of these poor people. You know, they get a pop-up on their computer. Guy says he's from like one of the banks. You know, Chase is a big one, Chase Bank. I'm a rep from Chase Bank. There's fraudulent activity on your account. We need to freeze it, and you're gonna have to come here and withdraw a bunch of money, and then someone's gonna come and pick it up, and then we're gonna clear the account, and you're gonna redeposit or something. They got people taking $20,000, $30,000 out of their accounts and actually giving it to a person who pulls up in front of their house because they got a pop-up. So, you know, just be mindful of all this stuff, everything on the phone. You know, you probably got the one about your toll bill is, you know, you owe toll bill. That one was, I was getting that one on like a daily basis. But there's so many of these scams out there, and they're taking advantage of people, and it breaks my heart. And a lot of elderly people are, unfortunately, they fall easy victim to some of these people on the phone. They're very convincing on the phone, and they convince these people to withdraw large sums of money, and it's actually heartbreaking. Yeah, you see that one there. We don't ask for bail, and no police agency's calling you and said, you know, someone's arrested, send us this money, or buy gift cards and give us the numbers. That's all a scam. And next meeting is October 7th at 7 p.m. That'll be at the South Huntington Library. So we'll do a nighttime one, and I appreciate everyone coming today. If you have any questions, I'll take them now. Somebody, concerns, questions? I know. All right, gentleman, right there.
We live both. This is a 4th of July question.
Okay.
Our neighbor goes absolutely crazy with fireworks.
Very good.
And we have,
Hold on. I should have said this earlier, but this goes on social media.
We're gonna cut that out. We'll
Yeah,
cut it
all right,
out.
she'll edit it.
Yeah, we'll
But
cut you out.
Just, can you stay around? Because I'd like to talk to you about that.
okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. I usually, I cover that before the July meeting, and I look for tips and stuff like that,
Okay,
but
no, I
yeah.
appreciate it.
That would be great. Someone else with a hand? Go ahead.
How do you address a business that's continuously selling alcohol to minors?
Yeah, just after the meeting, okay, we'll take the information and we'll do one of the compliance checks, okay? And we love that kind of stuff, you know, that helps us with trying to solve these problems, these quality of life things in the community.
Good morning, I'm Jared Stein, the Director of Safety and Security for the Huntington School
Yes,
District.
yes, Jared.
I just want to thank Inspector Williams at the 2nd Precinct for the partnership you have with the schools. Anytime we need officers for a football game or a bonfire or homecoming, you guys always provide. The officers are always interacting with the students and the community. We're lucky enough in Huntington to have 2 excellent SROs, Officer Sierra Tara and Officer Jinx. Today was the first day of school, and when I was out there, they weren't asking for the superintendent, the kids were asking for Officer Brittany. So
Wow.
it's really nice, and I can't
That's
thank you guys for what you do for the community in our schools. Thanks, so thank you again.
I appreciate you saying that, and I give all the credit that's due to the officers. You know, we have, I'm blessed to have 2 really fabulous SROs here. Also my COPE officers, everybody. And I know Mike was working on your little problem down on whatever that street is there. And yeah, so we're doing everything we can to try and help you with that, to try to change people's behavior on, yeah, Holdsworth, that's it, right.
We appreciate it,
So,
thank you.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for saying that. Nice, nice comments. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I live in East Northport. You had Pulaski Road, up is one of the spots where you're watching speeders.
but I've been there for over 30 years, and I rarely see anybody between Longfield and Old Bridge Road. It's about a 1.5 mile stretch with no traffic enforcement as far as the stop sign or light. There's 1, 2, at least 3 school crossings.
Okay.
If you go less, if the speed limit's 30, if you go less than usually 45, you have somebody on your tail or going around you on a double yellow line. So there must be an angel watching these kids, because I can't believe there hasn't been, thank God, more accidents.
Okay,
But
so.
I've asked this a million times over the years, can we get more enforcement in that stretch of road between Longfield and Old Bridge Road on Gillespie?
Sure. I know we put the sign there and it's been malfunctioning or whatever, but that sign was put there for a reason. We're giving people a warning, and we will be there either next week or very shortly anyway. So once we take that away, then the grace period's over, okay? So we'll be down there. We're aware of Pulaski, it's a problem. I think it was on the list of the highway guys too, so they know. It's just a long stretch of road, and it's a main road. But you're right, it's 30 miles an hour, and nobody does 30, so I understand. Go ahead, sir.
I got a noise ordinance complaint. I've been working
Noise?
with this year, Joe, right?
Joe, yeah.
I've had 43% of the time, so 3 out of every 7 days when I come home at night, I hear bass emanating through my house.
Okay.
And there's also a 50-foot noise ordinance in Huntington.
Right.
And it seems the officers who come to my house don't know those laws.
Okay.
And every time they go over to the house, they tell them to shut it off. As soon as the officers leave, the music's back on again. And one time, which was the 2nd of August, between me and my neighbors, we called the cops 7 times in one day.
Wow, okay.
And it just perpetuates.
Sure.
And I would rather have a Chinese water torture than have this bass emanating through my house.
Sure.
I work 11 hours a day,
Okay.
6 days a week, and I gotta come home to thud, 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 thud in my house. I've had 4 officers inside my house hearing the noise. I bought a sound recording device for the bass,
Okay.
and yet they continue to perpetuate, and it's been going on now almost 2 years. So I've been working with the town, but what else can the police do for me? Because I get literally, if I go over the fence and say, is there any way you can shut that off? I literally get the F you, I know my rights.
Okay.
And when I show the officers I think it's sound ordinance 141, they're like, this is news to me, I didn't know they changed the sound ordinances in Huntington.
Okay. Well, they should.
How do I fix this?
The officer, they should know what the ordinance is, okay? And a lot of them do, but can we get that location? And Joe, I'll talk to you afterwards, see what we can help you out, sir, okay?
That would be great.
Yeah. It's first I'm hearing it, so let me work on it for you. I'll get it taken care of. Anybody else? Go ahead, what do you got?
So the noise ordinance is not supposed to be sound 50 feet away from the property.
There's a lot of that going around. I mean, there's one of the officers here last time. The shopping center on, I think it's Church and York Avenue. There's a guy that comes in with an SUV, and I live 7 blocks away, and I can feel it.
Wow.
It's here, but I feel it. And I've called the police. I know it's not hard for them to get it, but it's
Any of that, listen, any of that quality of life stuff, we want to take care of for you. So, don't be afraid to call us. And I'm sorry that maybe they didn't know what they were doing down there, but we'll make sure when we go there the next time.
7 times in one day.
Yeah, no problem.
I heard bass in my house for 13 hours straight.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that's excessive.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't, some people just aren't courteous to their neighbors, but maybe we can get this guy into some type of compliance. See what we can do for you. All right? Anybody else? All right, well, thank you for coming, everybody. Appreciate it. It's good news. Thank you.